we're going to explain how to use the put method in HTML forms. HTML forms, by default, use the get method for submitting data. The get method appends the data to the URL, making it visible in the address bar. This is fine for retrieving data, but not ideal for updating data, as it's not secure and can leave a visible trail of your actions. The put method, on the other hand, is designed for updating data on a server. It sends data within the request body, keeping it hidden from the URL. However, standard HTML forms don't directly support the put method. You need a little extra help from JavaScript. Here's how. 1. Creating the HTML form. First, create your basic HTML form. This will include input fields for the data you want to update and a submit button. Crucially, you'll need to give your form an ID for easy access with JavaScript. For example, form ID my form action / update data method post. Notice we're using the post method initially. We'll use JavaScript to override this. Remember to include appropriate input fields, e.g., input type text name, name value, existing name, input type number name, ID value, 123, etc. for the data you want to send for update. 2. Adding JavaScript. Now add a script tag to your HTML, preferably just before the closing body tag. Inside the script, you'll select your form using its ID and attach an event listener to the form's submit event. This listener will prevent the default form submission behavior using prevent default, and then use the fetch API or an equivalent like XML HTTPR request to send the data using the put method. 3. Using the fetch API. Inside the event listener, use the fetch API to send a put request. The fetch function takes the URL as the first argument and an options object as the second. This object specifies the method, headers, and body. The method should be set to put. Headers should specify that you're sending JSON data, content type, application/JSON, and body should contain the data you want to send, converted to a JSON string using JSON stringify. For example, fetch update data, method put, headers, content type, application JSON, body, JSON.stringify, form data. Form data here would be an object created from your form's input values, perhaps using a library or manually building it. 4. Handling the response. The fetch function returns a promise. Use then to handle the successful response from the server. You might want to check the response status code to ensure the update was successful. You can also parse the JSON response if the server sends back confirmation or updated data. Use to catch them to handle any errors that might occur during the request. 5. Creating the server-side endpoint. Remember, this client-side code only works if you have a corresponding server-side endpoint that accepts put requests and processes the data accordingly. This server-side endpoint will handle updating data within your database or system based on the data sent from the form. The technology used for the server-side endpoint is language-dependent, e.g., Node.js with Express, Python with Flask, Django, PHP, etc., and is outside the scope of explaining HTML form submission. In summary, using the PUT method in HTML forms requires a combination of setting up a form, employing JavaScript's fetch API, creating a JSON representation of the form's data, sending a put request to your server, and finally handling the response. Remember that the server-side component is crucial for the success of the overall